Residents in Iran's capital are praying for rain in the midst of a severe drought. With record low rainfall levels, many of the country's major reservoirs are less than 5% full, with the president warning Tehran faces evacuation if the winter rains don't come. But it's not all about climate. Kaveh Madani is the director of the United Nations University's Institute for Water, Environment and Health and was once the deputy head of Iran's Environment Department. He says what's happening there is akin to water bankruptcy.
First, let me explain the analogy. So if you consider the surface water, the rivers, lakes, wetlands, and so on, as the checking account, we know that the checking account is there and the nature recharges it every year, and we have a known budget, a limited budget to spend. Now, if we are short in certain periods because of a drought or because of miscalculation, we can go to our reserves being groundwater. So that's our saving account. And if you look at the situation of Iran, you see not only they have exhausted the surface water, or the checking account, but also their saving account. And for years, they have spent more than what they could afford or what the nature was giving them, meaning that they exhausted or exploited all the water, fossil or non-renewable water inherited from the ancestors. And now, right now, there are many users and stakeholders and water right holders whose demand cannot be satisfied. And the nature has not been very friendly with the Iranians. This is the 6th year of their drought. The new water year started in October and so far has been very dry, drier than the long-term normal. And the situation has persisted for many years. The argument here is that the water bankruptcy problem as a whole has been the underlying problem, and it was going on for many years. Now, drought and climate change are acting as catalysts, boosting this problem and exacerbating it.
Yes, so what do you think brought about the increasing use of water to a point where you mentioned that nature can't keep up? Why did Iran seem to be in a position that it had to do that?
Well, we see this in different stages of development. We have seen it in Australia, we have seen it in California, and many other parts of the world that to begin, when we are at the early stage of development, the general mentality is that you have to prevent any water from being wasted. And the general thinking is that any water that is going into the oceans, any water that is going to the lakes and wetlands is being wasted. So you have to build a lot of dams, you have to transfer water from one basin to another and put it into use. Agriculture normally is the dominant user in dry areas, including Iran, where more than 90% of water is being allocated to the agricultural sector that is extremely inefficient. And because Iran was in a fight with the rest of the world, the dream of food self-sufficiency has been there with the sanctions, with the war and everything that they have gone through. This has become worse and worse. Over time, they have not been able to decouple the economy from water, and the economy that is now in the resistance mode is putting a lot of pressure on the water sector that is providing a lot of jobs and employment opportunities to the poor, to the rural communities and farmers. So technically they have to choose now between environmental degradation and unemployment. And guess what? I think like other governments around the world, they think that environmental degradation is the issue of tomorrow. And today they have to worry about feeding their population and providing jobs, because unemployment is a bigger national security problem than the environment. But you can gamble and risk with that for some time until until that bad moment comes. And now we are at a risk of a collapse. Tehran, the richest city of Iran, the most politically powerful city with more than 15 million in the metropolitan, is facing day zero in a few days or a few weeks. the taps might completely dry if there is no rain.
Yes, and given that dire situation there, authorities in Iran are trying to use cloud seeding to induce rain. From your expertise, is that going to work?
Well, that has been a very, very long debate. For years, scientists have been talking about it. The consensus is that we cannot fully reject the impact of cloud seeding on improvement or enhancement of precipitation. But we cannot also say that it's very effective. So in the best case, we can say, if the right conditions are in place, the nature provides the underlying conditions suitable for cloud seeding. Cloud seeding might enhance precipitation by 10 to 15% in the best case, but we don't have any rich nation in the world claiming that cloud seeding has been a solution to their drought. If that was the case, California would have done it, Australia would have done it. Many dry countries and the countries dealing with droughts and richer than Iran, not under sanctions, would have done it to address their problem. That's unfortunately a delusion that cloud seeding would solve the problem. It's just something that you can sell well to the public and confuse them.
Yes, and given what we are seeing in Iran, in many cases we are seeing people putting out videos of their taps. There's no water coming at all. As a first measure, of course, what would your advice be to Iran's leaders in taking the first steps to address this drought? What's the first thing that should be done?
First of all, don't confuse the two problems. There is one problem at the national scale that requires long-term solution. There is no overnight magic solution for that. But then at the city scale, it's all about survival right now, surviving longer, resisting longer against the drought, and ensuring that Tehran would not fully hit the day zero when the taps would completely run dry. That requires proper communication with people, clearance and transparency. You got to tell the citizens what's going on, how much water exactly you have, something that is not being properly communicated, and then invite them to join forces and help you. I mean, you have to take the blame. You have to admit that you're water bankrupt. You have to admit that you have made mistakes, but right now, all are in it together. The citizens pay the price of this, pay the cost of inaction for so many years. So this is now an emergency management situation. All you can do is working with the public and inviting them to consume less. And it's not easy in societies where the public don't trust the government, and the government doesn't have a good social capital. It's very hard for the government to convince the public to join forces and help. And the country has just gone through a war, and I think the government also does not want to make the public angrier, and it's still gambling and hoping that there would be some rain and snow to reverse the situation.
Okay, Kaveh Madani, really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.